everyone. We're back with another episode of StarCast. I have an eclectic guest today. Arnaud Dieutegard is the Senior Director of Wellness, Spa, and Retail at Four Seasons Costa Rica. And Arnaud reached out to me to say that he's a podcast listener and he had some really interesting thoughts on wellness and where it's going. And so here we are for a chat. Thanks for joining us, Arnaud.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for giving me the space to share a little bit my passion and yeah, like let's see where we go.
See where we go. Well, we'll start with where you are now and we'll work backwards. You are Senior Director of Wellness Spa and Retail at Four Seasons Costa Rica, as I mentioned. Could you explain for listeners what it means to be a Senior Director at Four Seasons?
So we have a property. My property is Costa Rica, and I'm running the operation down here, but I'm also supporting other properties. So I'm supporting Four Seasons Del, Santa Fe, and the two in New York, downtown and Midtown. And basically, we're supporting our fellow spa directors with any challenges or anything they could need support from us.
Mhm.
We work directly with Michael Newcomb. So we're basically a filter between Michael Newcomb, our VP of Wellness, and the operation. And we support also like any development, any suppose like new openings, if they need some operational insight. But we also work on my favorite part, which is supporting creating new concept or reconcepting certain operation and helping them to develop new vision, new experiences. We leave it to the director on property, but we really help them to foster this creative mindset and how to basically implement and stay up to the trend. I don't like that.
Well, you have a big job, which is not just to run an operation, which is in and of itself, but to support these other locations in their development. So that's a lot of responsibility.
Yes, it is, but it's also very exciting because it helps you to stay up and connected to different operation. We do annual visits and we go to other operation, and I'm always taking something I want to apply in my operation as well, and I love that because it's really helping me to keep my eyes open on, hey, there is opportunity, there is something to learn. And like one of my main focus is stay a child, and have this mindset of like, you need to try, you need to fail, and you need to try again. And it's like children doesn't learn how to walk without walking. And I think like that's something that's really motivate me. It's to go and see, hey, they're doing that. It's working well. I'm not doing it. Should I consider trying? Should I consider to apply to my own? But also, should I share with the other? And that's what I love about the job is being able to see, oh, you're doing that great. We're doing that great, and we can help each other and support each other.
No, you're so right. I think that's what I love when I travel. I always go to spas, bathhouses, salons, retail, whatever, just to see what are they doing. There you find little tricks or tips or ways something is displayed or way a process is done that you can then bring back to your place and makes it better or smoother. I love that idea about remaining a child and remaining curious. We cannot lose our curiosity. But let's jump back to Arnaud as a young man leaving school because you took a very different path.
Yeah. So first of all, I grew up in a family that was considered back in the time as hippies, that's a
Hippies?
little, yeah. So my parents always give us like these organic veggies, and I grew up with homeopathy. I grew up with aromatherapy. My mom is an hypnotherapist, but she's also a physiotherapist, and my dad is also doing lymphatic drainage. And they had this
Wow.
studio where they were working with post-cancer patients
Was this
eh,
Arnaud?
in Nice, back in Nice,
In Nice. Okay.
correct, France. And when you're a young adult, you have this attraction for what your parents are doing, but you also have this aversion to it. And I
Hmm.
was like, I don't want to do what you're doing. And my parents are extremely open-minded. And they were like, look, you do whatever you want, as long as you keep one thing connected to wellness, and you need to learn around wellness, and that can be an annual retreat, that can be a course you're doing, and one thing artistic, because you need to keep this artistic mindset going on, because that's what's going to keep you young for all your life. And I was like, okay, I didn't really understand that. But I love music. We always had cassette at home, CDs, and we were doing blind tests about music, any kind of music, from the Beatles all the way to Rachmaninoff and classical music. And at
Your
some
parents
points,
were musical or they were tuned into music?
they liked music, but they were not playing music.
Hmm.
I never asked them why they put us into the music school. It's a good question. I should ask them at one point. But they were really supportive, and they were taking us to the conservatory, music conservatory in Nice. And I started with guitar. And for me, life is all about cues and all about what's going to happen. You need to invite them to happen. So I was in this guitar class where it was maybe like 50 or 60 students playing guitars, and I was waiting for, like, I remember waiting in the hallway, and the teacher would teach tuba, so me, and I was always this big guy, like I'm big, I'm tall, and he looked at me and say, "Hey, you come with me. I'm going to your wedding. You're doing nothing. I'm going to give you a tuba, and we're going to play together." And I was like, "Oh, that's fun." And back in the time, the class of tuba was 3 people. Nobody want to play tuba. It's
No,
like,
everybody wanted a
oh,
guitar.
everybody want a guitar. And I went into tuba, and I loved it. It's an instrument which is extremely vibrant. It's an instrument that you don't hear it per se, but it's here for the atmosphere. When you hear it clear and loud because it's super loud, but it's what gives you the bass line. It's what gives you, there's a rhythm on the back, which is not drum. It's there, but, like, people don't know about it. And I started to play, and that's where I started to be able to say, okay, guitar, I was playing guitar, but he was playing tuba. It was a game for me. It was like, I don't know, I felt something was different. And I remember we had this audition all the time, and I was practicing, 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 and my teacher was like, hey, you need to practice, but you need also to do some kind of interpretation. And I'm like, oh wow, I love that. So that means I have my partition, but I can also do something else. And it's like, yeah, the partition is your guide, but it doesn't mean you have to play exactly the same way. You can put an intention, you can put an emotion. And I started to feel this emotion coming when I was playing, and I was like, yeah, I can do that. I can slow down here. And the pianist was with me, and, like, we're watching each other, we're falling. And there is this harmony, this fusion creating something different. And I remember one of my audition at the end, it came, it was like, oh my God, what was that? What was this? What did you do here? And I'm like, I don't know. I just felt it, and I just went into it. And it was like, it was an interpretation. You didn't play the piece. It's like you play something which, like, I didn't hear it this way, but now I can hear it this way. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And moving on like that, so I keep studying tuba. I started to play in an orchestra, which was a very interesting orchestra because it was in Nice. We had this city orchestra, which is 70 musicians. There is no string; it's only wind instruments. So basically, the clarinet replaced the violin, the tuba replaced the cellos, and the only string we had was double bass, and we were playing every Sunday, and we had to put an hour concert in place every week. And every week we were moving from one church to another church, or we were playing, like, in a little kiosk out there. And I've done that for 12 years, and it was absolutely
12 years.
phenomenal.
Wow.
Because, it's really like, at some point, the repertoire pretty well. And the repertoire was crazy. We were playing Call Off all the way to John Williams, or we even played, like, The Nightmare Before Christmas from Danny Elfman, and you're like,
Uh-huh.
it was amazing that these 70 musicians were putting together this 1 hour concert every week, no matter what. And it was incredible. On the side of that, because my brain was, like, picking up on stuff, I also study electrotechnique and electricity, and I did a bachelor in electricity. So I was having this like super down to earth, like electric scientific way, but I was having my musician side on side. And music was
I
not
hear that musicians and science go together. Like those seem to be skill sets that live in the same part of the brain for some reason.
music is math. That's a fact. You know,
Right.
music is math. It's an addition. Everything is about like it's math, so it's completely scientific. The beauty of the music of music, it's really it gives you this space for the interpretation, and you live it through your body because you have the instruments, but the instrument is what's make the sound. But everything coming from your lung, everything go through your lips for the tuba, you know, and you have to vibrate. You have to feel this vibration all the time. And I remember later I was studying a little bit the mantras, and I was like, well, when I was playing tuba, I was doing mantras. You know, I was like having this vibration, having all this activation in my brain because you have constant vibration. You're doing this breath work constantly. You know, you have to do the continuous breath if you have to hold the notes and etc. And I was like, oh wow, this is basically like almost like Kundalini with music. You know, it's beautiful. It's amazing. And again, I feel like musicians are really like, I don't know if you ever noticed, but musicians rarely have any wrinkles or aging very well because again, they're using all the muscle on their face. They're
Mhm.
using their lungs. You know, it's super interesting to see that it's quite healthy to the music at the end and the music impact not just by the vibration, but also by the fact to practice it, you know? So I love that.
Oh, that's fascinating. I mean, studying electricity and tuba, playing tuba, I mean, but what happened next? I mean, your next step for a career was what?
I did an internship and I really didn't like it. It was designing robots that was building cars and etc. And I was like, it's not for me. And I went back to my parents. And in the meantime, when I was doing music, they also invited me to go to Ayurvedic retreats. So I remember my first Ayurvedic retreat. I was 18 years old. I remember very well being asked to walk in with sesame oil in the mouth in silence. And it was like, okay, where I am, what I'm doing. I'm 18 years. That's not really what I want to do. South of France. But it was like, I didn't really get it completely. And then Ayurveda become completely part of my way of thinking. You know, you can feel the dosha, you can see the dosha, you can understand all of that. And that's really coming part of the cues you have. And what I love about Ayurveda, it's this is pure observation. It's based on the observation of people moving, people eating, people. And for me, it makes complete sense because it's not a micro macro science. It's the observation of a lifestyle, you
Mhm.
know, and your lifestyle impact how you feel. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. Uh, I also did like a school where I learned about shiatsu. I went in very interesting. We had an university diploma on the anthropology of the principle of Chinese medicine. Back in France, it was under the literature university. It was not under the medical university because
Mm.
it was anthropology studying, but we were in the classroom putting needles, doing moxa, and it was amazing. The fun part about that is it was a 3 years class. I took it with my parents. So we were the three of us
Fun.
on the school having the class, and that was super cool. And to complete this course, I went in China where I studied a couple of months there in a university, and that was amazing. So I had all these tools in me, and then at some point I was like, I had this calling. I was going back to touching people, being in contact with people. And my mom was like, hey, listen, you have two ways. Either you do a physiotherapy school, which is going to be 5 to 7 years, or you become an esthetician and you can do massages in institutes and in
Mhm.
spa, which back in the time was not big, but it was still a possibility. And I was like, yeah, that's 1 year or 7 years. I'm going for 1 year. And I become a beautician. I learn how to do makeup. I learn how to do waxing. I learn how to do nail, French, manicure. I have big hands. It was a lot of fun for me to hold the little brushes. And the school I went was a private school. And at the end, they were like, hey, look, we have all this conversation with you, you know Ayurveda, you know this. We want to create complementary courses for our students to learn about holistic techniques and holistic practices so they can become better spa practitioner. And so they hired me to create this course that after that became an official course to become a spa practitioner. You know, you had to do
That's
it after
amazing that they
your,
picked you as a student out to become a teacher then.
that was amazing. Yeah. And at some points, the Four Seasons down in Provence, which is Terre Blanche, which is not a Four Seasons anymore, but it's beautiful property. They were looking for therapists, and I was like, I want to travel again. I don't really know anything about hospitality. I just research about Four Seasons. It seems to be a very beautiful brand. I don't know anything about luxury. Like, let's do it. And I moved from the school to a massage therapist, you know. It was very interesting. Some of my students was my supervisor, you know, and I was like,
Interesting.
you just teach me, and now I have to teach you the Four Seasons standards. And I'm like, oh yeah, great. Um, and the Four Seasons standard was very difficult for me at the beginning because I was this practitioner where I feel like when you're practicing a lot, you develop these senses, you know, you touch, you have the cues, you see the people, you see the muscle, you see the response. And when they were telling me, yeah, you have to ask 2 times about the pressure, and I was like, oh, I don't need. I'm a good therapist. Why should I do that? I can feel it. Like if I want to go above, like and beyond for my guests, I should feel when it's too much or not too much. They were like, no, no, you have to follow the standards, etc. And at the beginning, I was like, okay. And then I started to get some guest feedback, and it was like, oh, he's an amazing therapist, but he doesn't really care because he don't ask us about the pressure. And I was like, oh, okay. So I really need to make my standards because this is part of it. And again, I'm not coming from hospitality. For me, it was not natural. It was like, you know, when you study in China, they don't ask about the pressure. They just press as much as possible. And they're like, yeah, when it's enough, it's enough. So I'm not saying I was
Well,
doing
you're
that from
right.
the
Moving
guests.
into the hospitality world, you had to be a little
It was,
different.
it was a whole transformation. And I started to be like, okay, so if I have to do that, this is my baseline of what I should be doing. Okay, I get that. So I can do my standard. I can hit my checkpoint and do it. But I'm creative. I don't want to stay there. I'm like, how can I go further? You know, how can I do it further? And I was like, back in the time we were told, you need to ask if the pressure is good enough for you. And the guest answered yes or no. And I was like, yeah, but like the guest is always going to answer yes, no matter what, you know, because they don't want to disturb you. They're like, okay. So I was starting to say, hey, do you want me to give you a little bit more less, more pressure? Because here I feel I can work a little bit more. And that's how and again, I know now it's a recommendation around the industry to ask more like direct question with more and less. And for me, it was just the time for this idea to come out. I'm not saying I make it happen. I'm saying ideas for me and creativity is something available to everyone. And when an idea needs to come out, it comes out. And I was one of the guy who was like, hey, that's an option. And I'm sure many other people had the same idea in the world at the same time. And now it become a more normal thing to say, do you want me to give you more or less pressure? And it's even more luxury. But I didn't have this sense of luxury. I was like, I just don't want to be like bored at doing my standards. So I'm saying, okay, it's another massage, it's another standards, and etc. I just want to make sure like, hey, how can I go further for you? How can I really personalize it?
Well, that was a good revelation that you had because, again, you were ahead of your time. Because, as you said, then it's common to ask people whether you, as the practitioner, think it's the right thing isn't so important as whether the guest thinks it's the right thing, right? So there are two people in that equation. So, how long did you work as a therapist at this property?
I stayed for 2 years and a half, I believe. It's a little bit, it's 17 years ago, so it's alright.
Right. Well, it's
Uh,
okay.
and then I moved, I was offered to move as an assistant manager at the Four Seasons Bora Bora.
That's a long way
Uh,
from France.
that's a long way from France. It was like leaving everything behind, becoming a manager, which I had no clue of what it was to be a manager. The hotel was just opening. I think it was open for 6 months. And they were looking for an assistant manager because it was very small operation, not a lot of business yet.
Mhm.
And it was just starting, you know. So I was like, okay, I'm up for that. Let's do it. And went to the Four Seasons Bora Bora. Um, arrived there again, not knowing very much what I was doing. I'm a therapist. I want to lead other therapies. I learned a lot. I was reporting to the assistant housekeeping manager because there was no one else who wanted to take care of the spa back in the time. So, and then I
That's
reported to
interesting.
the executive housekeeper manager. And that was very interesting because no clue about the spa. They were just, and it was very interesting because they were like, Arno, the only thing we want is you to make the team happy, not anyone to complain, and the guests need to be happy. I never heard about the forecast, a budget, purchasing, or
Revenue
anything.
projections, none of that.
Not at all, like nothing. And something I always say is like the spa world evolved and the spa director role and manager role evolved so much the past 15 years that if you apply this change to a restaurant, I'm not sure what you're going to get in your plate, you know?
Hmm.
Because we went from the guys either under earth or further away in their beautiful facility trying to relax people to if you don't have a spa that generate money, that doing profit, that attract people, that doing marketing, you're not doing a good job.
Hmm.
And it's so interesting, this transformation and this movement where we were and where we are now.
I 100% agree. I mean, the spa used to be an amenity, as you say, just to keep people happy, and especially in a place like Bora Bora, give them something to do. But it did transition into a revenue center with the same expectations that you have from other departments. That's been good for us in a way. It raises the profile of wellness in the property. And as an industry, we've seen how wellness has grown, but you've been around long enough to remember before when there wasn't the pressure on performance.
It
Measured
was not
performance, I should say.
100%. It was just like make the guest happy. We don't hear about like dynamic pricing. We don't like it was really organic. It was really like just do what you're doing. Anyway, we don't understand what you're doing. You know, which is still true sometimes. They still don't
Hmm.
understand what we're doing, depending of the property and the location, and they really rely on us. And that's also something I like in the world of spa and hospitalities is spa director are professional in the fields and we will remain professional in the field. It's like executive chef, you know, this is their kitchen, this is our spa. And even if you have a general manager who is passionate about wellness, you will still be the professional and they will still need you
Hmm.
to grow the business, to understand what's the trend and to feel where the business is going, you know, and that's something which I feel it's super exciting.
For sure. I mean, there's no other business unit in a hospitality property other than the spa where the guests have a one-on-one with a staff member for extended periods of time and sometimes without being dressed, right? Think about it. There's no other place in the hotel where that happens, at least in the hotel's setup structure. They've learned that it's very important that because those therapists and that guest definitely develop a relationship more quickly as a result of that.
Completely. And I feel even more now, there is so much content available to our guests, you know, that this connection with the therapist, it used to be, okay, you give me a good massage, I'm leaving happy, I'm signing my check. Now the guest doesn't expect just that. They expect the therapist to be a wellness expert that are able to say, hey, look, I've seen that you have a little bit of restriction on your hips. Maybe it will be good for you to come back for a Thai massage. And by the way, you want me to show you a stretching, what's you know, and having this personal and the guests are expecting that to be more normal and to be more like
Mm,
a part of the experience than it was before, you know. And
mm,
I have I have so inspiring conversation with our guests sometimes where we talk about like neuroscience and body and performance and assessment. And I'm amazed because like I'm working right now with doctor with our PhDs and MDs and I'm like I never ever expected when I was an assistant manager in Bora Bora that at some point I will have a conversation with people like PhD people that are talking about hormones and how to get better to at the workout, losing weight and all of that. It's like it's incredible, you know?
It's gone through a big transformation. Clients want much more from us than just, as you say, to be touched and given the service that they ask for. But, especially in a hospitality environment or a remote location or both, they want to know what to do once they're home, right? They're only going to see you this several times. And so they want the benefit of a longer learning curve, if you will, of something to help make them feel better. So tell us what happened after Bora Bora. Where was your next stop?
Bora Bora moved in Maui, Four Seasons
Moving your way
Maui.
across the Pacific.
Yeah, staying in the same time zone. That was great. And I had the chance to move to the Four Seasons Maui with Pat McCosack. She's been my mentor since I started as an assistant manager. So I was absolutely blown away that I can work directly with her, you know, and I spent 3 years like in the same office with Pat. And for me, Pat, she's one of these genius director that's felt all the trend and kept this Maui property on the top of the list of everybody that know the industry, the Four Seasons Maui and the spa, not because of the facility, because they're not great, but because of all the innovation and all the vision and everything she was doing there. And I cannot thank her enough for that because she was, again, she was my mentor. I work with her and I'm here today because of her. That's the reason is like she gave me all the motivation. She gave me all the encouragement and she really helped me and pushed me to when the position in Costa Rica opened, she was like, Arnaud, this is for you. I feel it. You need to go. I was like, okay.
Wonderful to have that kind of support from your boss. Really wonderful.
That was amazing. And Maui really teaches me like North American business
Mm.
model as well as clientele as well as managing staff because I had no idea. You know, again, I'm not coming from the hospitality. I just learn as it comes and
Hmm.
I just floated and it was amazing. It was amazing to see this change. And every destination I've been has changed me drastically from one to each other, you know, and it's amazing. And Maui was a big operation. We had 120 employees, 70 therapists. It was a
Wow.
big monster. It was a big machine. So I liked it because it was like, okay, now we can focus on business. I can learn about more about like what are GLs, what are, you know, all the magical finance and budgeting and forecasting and all of that. And I learned all of that, but I was so much missing the creativity because again,
Mm.
it's how I embedded. It's so strong culture, you know, but I was also missing like the humanized size of the team because it was 70 people. It's 70 therapists and 120 people in the team. It's hard to connect with everyone. That's the reality. And
For
I
sure. That's a
admire
big
her
team.
because she's been there for 20 plus years with a huge team. And oh my God, I don't know if she's doing it. So that's something like
Well, you did learn a lot that you were able to take with you to Costa Rica. How long have you been at this property, Arno?
Costa Rica is going to be 7 years in January. Um, and it's an amazing journey. First, Costa Rica, like, give me my children. As soon as we moved here, my wife got pregnant and we had our two children here. And this is a pivotal moment in my career because becoming a dad, putting me back into my mindset of children modes, and you have to learn every
Hmm.
day. And you know, you realize as well that as a parents, there is no school. Nobody is teaching you. You can get all the recommendation in every direction.
True. You go home with that baby
Nobody,
and you're like, wait, I'm in charge? Uh-oh.
yeah, I have a life that rely on me now,
Hmm.
and and I have to give them the best. But I don't know if I'm doing the best because it's the best for me in the world now. The kids we're raising are going to strive in the world that doesn't exist yet, you know?
Hmm.
And and how do you give them all the chances? And then I was like going back to my parents and what they give me and all this exposure to wellness, all the exposure to heart, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm ever more thankful of what my parents have done for me, you know? and
Well,
it's
it's so true. I
incredible.
think becoming a parent, you really do appreciate your parents in a different way than you could until you have that experience.
Completely. And in Costa Rica, when I arrived, it was very interesting because the hotel was transitioning from one ownership to another. The hotel was bought in 2017, so it was like, then they had big renovation in 2018, and then I arrived in 2019. So it was really like, this transition for the new ownership to completely understand. And one of the mission I was given is like, hey, want to take this hotel to the next level in terms of wellness. And I was like, I'm your guy. I can do that, no problem. Tell me what's the limit. If you don't, the sky is the limit, we go to the sky. Absolutely no problem. And we started to work with the team to try to understand, okay, what's the culture? I immerse myself in the Costa Rican culture, and we create what is now our menu, what is now our offering. Uh, and it mainly comes from our therapists who really were so excited to be able to say, "Hey, look, Arnaud, I have this idea with chocolate. I have this idea with uh, like the purple corn, and can we do something with like sound healing and this?" And it was a lot of idea coming in every direction. I was like, okay, let's funnel all of that and let's create a concept. And we had a new PR director coming in, and I was like, she's amazing because she loves wellness, and she was like, okay, let's work together on creating a new concept. And her concept back in the time was merging ancestral practices and modern technology,
Mhm.
which when you say it now, it seems pretty obvious. Like pretty much every splash will be doing that. But back in the time, like we started to work on that before COVID, and it was a little bit like ahead of the game. And they were like, okay, let's work on that. And basically, what we've done is we took every single experience and tried to embed it with a little bit of technology and a little bit of ancestral touches.
Mm.
Um, and it doesn't have to be overcomplicated, but it has to be memorable for the guest, and it has to be completely digestible. So the guests need to really understand. You cannot go to in this downward rabbit hole of technology and the like the near red light therapy, PEMF, etc. You need to be simple. It need to be something that the guests can enjoy, feel, and have a direct effect on them.
Very much so. So that seems like a great approach, modern and taking the land and the culture of where you are, and it makes it a memorable experience for the guests, which they want. A guest traveling to a property in a far-flung location wants something not that they're going to get on the streets of New York City, right? They want something
Correct.
local.
And even in the street in New York City, they're looking for something. They're looking for a story. They're looking for why they should go to the spa in New York City, you know, and why this spa is going to be more attractive than the spa next door. And the only difference is, again, you have a massage table, you have a beautiful setup, you have amazing therapists, you have amazing receptionists, but what is the story? What do you tell them?
What is the
And why they
story
want to come,
exactly?
you know? And I think that's something that's we've seen in the world of spa, and it's my vision, it's the way I see it. It's like now if you don't have a strong concept that is storytelling and that's live in every services, you're not getting the point. So the guests are like, yes, but I can still get the massage anywhere else.
So you have recently had some developments at your property, if I am understanding what I'm reading, and you have a wellness, a new.
Yeah. So first, like in 2023, we launched our Wellness Chalet, which is an amazing place that was built on the top of the hill. And for me, it's a big statement from our ownership group that said, we want the wellness to be something special in this property. And they give us this beautiful, like bamboo structure that looks like a
I've
giant
seen a picture of
mushroom.
it. It was beautiful.
Incredible. So that was the beginning, really. And now we have like 6 to 8 classes a day there. We have like a lot of guests that go, they love, we do sun healing, we do cacao ceremony. It's beautiful. But we also have one of the villa in the property that has their own fitness, lap pool, and cold plunge. And one thing we're working on, and we just launched it, is to create a wellness villa. So this villa can be rented as 4 bedroom villa and can be rented, and we can create a retreat basically for the people that want to be in this house. And
Mm.
for me, the retreat is something that we're not really doing usually in luxury hospitality, but it's you walk there, you have your program, You don't have to sign a check. You don't have to think about anything. You don't have to, like, for me, even choosing food when you're in a retreat is a stress. You
I
don't choose your
agree. I just
food.
want you to give it to me.
You just float. Just want to float. And this villa is the perfect landscape and the perfect playground for that. You can be there. You have your Peloton bikes. You have your rower. You have your rug machine. You have your woodways. You have all your complete fitness, the cold plunge. Everything is there. And we have the team as well. We work with Pinoe. We do VO2 max testing so we can see a little bit of biomarker, try to understand what's going on inside. We have a Kundalini professional. We have our wellness ambassador is doing sound healing, and we can really curate a 4-day, 5-day retreat using the landscape, using the villa inside the hotel. And it's a mini retreat within the hotel. You're not in the hotel. Yes, you're located in Costa Rica, but you have your own little private house where everything can happen and you don't have to think of anything.
That's delightful. Sign me up. How have you been marketing it? Have you started selling that?
We announced it last week, so this is something we're just starting to put on the market. But the other very interesting experience we launched last year in October, it's a peak performance experience, and we partner with a famous doctor in the States, is a professor in human performance, and we really design an experience with him, which for me, like I don't believe it exists in any other location. And the strength of this experience, it starts in the home of the guest, meaning when the guests sign up for that, the doctor could reach out to them and they undergo MRI, blood work, and sleep monitoring. Like they go in their house and monitor their sleep and understand what is their sleep pattern and how it goes. We don't get any data. The doctor collect all the data. And when they get all the data, the doctor is coming on the property and spend 4 days with the guest. They look at the data and they do what we call a lifestyle intervention, meaning it's not about giving you IV, it's not about giving you hormone replacement, it's nothing related to drugs or any kind of like,
Nothing invasive.
bomb. I call them the band aid. They make you feel good for a moment, but it doesn't help you to
Mhm.
change in the long term. But the doctor really curate the 4 days as a retreat where they follow him, they read the data, and they really understand, okay, what should I do to get better? And again, usually this doctor is only working with elite athletes, Olympians, MMA fighter. It's not something he's doing publicly. It's something you have to be with these people. Um, and so 4 days on property with the doctor, and then when you get all your data, you get all of that, you recommend also certain supplements. I was amazed by that because I did the blood work with them, part of my research, and I was like, I want to really understand what you're
Right.
doing.
Of
And I
course.
was like, I like supplement. I'm like, I feel good with this. I feel good with that. I was taking a lot of things and they were like, oh, no, 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 no. You stop everything. I was like, oh, what? No, 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 no. You stop everything. You're taking stuff, but your body doesn't need it. What you really need is these three things. And it was like cinnamon, zinc, and garlic. I was
That
like,
was your body, not all
I was,
bodies.
that was, and they said, do that for 6 months and we see. And I was like, okay, so I'm saving money now because I'm not spending so much money in all this multivitamin stuff. And I feel
Hmm.
great. And my sleep got better and I lost weight. They also told me like, oh, they explained me my metabolism was quite slow. And they ask you this question about like when do you have your lunch, when do you have your dinner, when do you work out? So I'm working out 3 days a week.
Hmm.
And they were like, yeah, but look, your workout is way too close from your lunch. So you have to put space between the two. So when you go to work out, you're almost fasting. And that's going to help you to oxidize the fat you are in your body and lose weight. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's quite
It all makes
obvious,
sense when someone else tells you.
you know, but as well, it's scientifically backed up because they look what is in my blood and they have all the science behind. And I love that because it's like, it's the proof that it's what I need. It's not coming from anywhere else or someone just telling you this is a recommendation I'm giving you. No, this is based on my blood and it's very personalized.
So this
So it was
doctor that you're using for the program is based where you are in Costa Rica or
no,
nearby?
it He's in the States and he just come when the guests are booking the experience.
Nice.
And then after the experience, they're followed by the doctor teams for 6 months. So he has PT, he has like psychologist, nutritionist, and they can help and they can go and they can call, they can ask questions, and they support this during 6 months after to reach the goals, basically. And the doctor
What is
personally
that
reach out to them.
program called, Arno? What is that
The
called
peak
if I wanted to book it?
peak performance,
Peak
and it's
Performance.
yeah, it's our peak performance program. It's on our website, and yeah, you can go there. I'm usually the main contact because we want to make sure like all the guests are really well taken care of. So I'm the one taking care of the guests. I want to sign up for that, and it's amazing. And we had two this year.
Sounds it.
It's not something we can do a lot because again, it's quite intensive,
I'm sure.
but it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
Can you tell me about the sleeping box that I read about on your website? What is that?
So same doctor we work with, and this doctor also developed a sleeping ring, which basically it's a ring you have to put on and sleep with it, and he will do assessment of your sleep. Very different than a neural ring or your watch because the assessment are continuous. That's mean, your watch is doing an assessment, then take a break, then do an assessment, and then do
Mm,
an algorithm is trying to understand what happened between the two. The ring is consistently recording your heartbeat, your oxygen, everything. So you have to recharge the ring every night. It's not the most like user friendly, but it's a real
mhm.
mini lab, and the data go to the doctor and they give you an assessment at the end of the night. And the best is to do 3 nights with that. And we had the idea of, okay, there is so much like accessories and option on the market to improve your sleep. And I asked the doctor, and I was like, will you be willing to create a box for us that we group all the best technology that you know of and that are reliable and that are scientifically backed up to give an immediate effect on the sleep of our guests? And he was like, yeah, I'm up for that. Let me do the selection. He gave us a selection and we have the box. It's a box. You open it, you have a screen, you have a video from the doctor introducing the box, and inside the box you have all the different accessories. You have three different sleep masks, for example. You have a mouse tape, you have the nose opener, you have a breeze to train your lungs, to breathe better.
Right.
You have a mini red light panel. You have blue light blockers, glasses. You have stickers that you can stick on the light when you go to hotel. You always have this beautiful red light on the phone. So you have stickers so you can
Oh,
stick
that
that
drives
and
me
let it everywhere.
crazy.
All these little touches that really make your travel better when you travel a lot. Both, like the box is quite big, but then you all fit in a small bag and you can travel with it.
That's great.
And part of that, you also have the ring. So you have your ring assessment with them. One thing we have as well is the guests who purchase the box receive in their home a weighted blankets,
Mm.
which is like it's hard to travel with the weighted blanket, but they receive in their home and then they can enjoy the weighted blanket. But for me, I love weighted blanket. I think it's so helpful and help you to release your nervous system. It's incredible. The results are beautiful with that. So there is a lot of content into the box, and it's a box that are going to evolve because we want that to be always up to speed and always following the trend on what's really valuable into the box for a guest, basically.
I mean, what guest wouldn't want to have that? That sounds ideal, especially as you learn things that you can take with you. So, Arno, clearly you're doing lots of really innovative things at your property, Four Seasons in Costa Rica. I'd like to talk to you about your concept that you mentioned to me about creativity and where it comes from, and how you felt that it's more unleashed when you have a framework to work around. And I'm thinking about what you said to us earlier about the tuba, like having the music and knowing how it's supposed to be before you can start to make iterations of it. So, how has that process helped you become a better spa director?
So it's very interesting because for me, creativity it's something which is a little bit chaotic. It's not something organized. It's not something you cannot really control when the idea is coming and what idea are coming and it's interesting when you have to do a marketing plan. But you have all these ideas coming in you, and you're like, oh no, that's what we should be doing. Oh, that's what we should be doing. But no, you have to organize your idea and you have to make them like achievable. It's not just like, oh yeah, I can do this and I can do that. And one thing, I'm still producing music for myself. I'm putting music out tomorrow. I have a new track coming out, um,
Where
which
do you
is
put it out?
it's going to be on Spotify. It's going to be on Apple Music. It's going to be a little bit everywhere,
Is it
all the
under your
platforms.
name?
No, I have an alter ego that create the music. It's
Okay.
under another name. I will share with you.
All right.
One thing I've done is beautiful. It's for my daughter at birth. I recorded her heartbeats and I created a meditative song with her heartbeats. And that was the song that my wife wanted to listen during the labor. And that's a
Very
beautiful track.
nice.
I love it. It's something we put it out on Spotify, and I love this track. It's very special. It's not for everyone, and that's why it's my music. But it's also for me the beauty of creativity. It allows you to express yourself.
Hmm.
And one thing very important is like I heard a lot of my peers, spa directors, like I'm not creative. You know, I'm not. I don't know. I don't get the inspiration. And my message is like, look, as soon as you wake up, you open your eyes, and your brain is creating the world you're seeing every day. So you're a creative machine. You're doing create every day what you're seeing. It's not real. It's your eyes and your brain that show you what you see. So creativity is there. It's just, are you leaving the space for that? Are you leaving the moment where you can sit and anything is possible? My wife is doing painting, and she's painting with her kids paint on the floor, but this is the way she liked to express herself.
Hmm.
Ours, and having that going out, have these energy, this emotion. Emotion is the energy in motion. You need to let it go through. You need to let it circulate. If you block it all the time and you're like, I'm not creative, it's not going to happen. If you let it go, if you find your ways, if you find like what is the idea, what is the technique, what is whatever you want to do, you don't have to be too technical. Take a pencil and do something on the paper and see how do you feel about it. uh, and for me that's creativity, but it can be also a rabbit hole, because it can be something where you're creative, and nothing is really finished, nothing is really up to speed, nothing
That's
is like
very common.
and then you find these excuses for not doing it anymore, and then it's like, oh, I have no time, oh no, it's too complicated, no, I never finish anything. And the reality is, you never finish an idea if you don't put it out of the world, and if you ask
You have to
musician,
start it to finish it, right?
exactly, and if you ask musician, like who has very, very successful like piece of music, they don't write an album. An album is coming from 300 songs, and they funneled onto the 10 best. And out of these 10 best, it's going to be one or two favorites from the public. It's not
Hmm.
that it's a process, but you have to consistently have these ideas and accept them. My wife is always laughing because I wake up at night sometime and I have a melody in mind, and I will go in the kitchen, I will sing my melody, and I will go back to bed. But if I don't catch it, I lose it. It's like
No, you're
it's
100% right. You wake up in the morning and what was that? But you can never remember.
we will never remember. And I really encourage like everybody to just take a paper and put it on the paper and leave the paper there. If the idea need to leave and if the creation need to be created, you will do it. But you have to be in this movement, in this mindset of creation. And what I love about the fact that we have standards, you know, if you don't put deadline in your creation, you will never create. If you don't put a parameter, and look at certain artists like Clown. I don't know if you know Clown is doing this blue painting, super modern. He put parameter. He's only using blue paint. You know, he could use any color, but no, his work is around the blue. And how can I make the shade of blue different? And it is well known because of the blue clown. And it's amazing. And there is a lot of musicians like they will tell you, I'm just using this instrument. I don't want to use anything else. And if I start to use anything else, I'm going to, again, this rabbit hole of creativity, which like you're going to create, and then nothing happens. And I think
I
for
think
for us,
you need to know what you're good at, right? And do that, have that niche, because you're right, you could start creating all kinds of things. And it's good to be creative, but you never finish them. That's not very fulfilling.
And there is a lot of unknown artists that doesn't publish their art, that doesn't publish their creation.
Mm.
And when you talk to people, yeah, I had the idea, but I didn't have the time to put it out. It's like, just put it out to the world and you see what happened. What's the worst case scenario? Nobody look at it. And it's the same
Well,
than if
you
you leave
make
it on
it
your
sound
desk.
easy. You make it sound easy, Arno. You're a busy man. You have a busy job. You oversee a big staff. You have two kids, and yet you find the time to be creative and sort of to listen to your inner voice. I mean, how do you do that? And what can you say to help the rest of us find that skill?
Discipline. I have my daily routine. I have my schedule, which is extremely well organized because I want to be able to carve these creative moments, but also put the limits. So I have twice a week, I have my creative workshop, I call them like that, and they're on my schedule and it's
Oh,
45
that's good.
minutes and I
45
put them
minutes.
there.
Okay.
And then with my wife, we have our nightly routine where like every night we have different activities. Either she paint, I'm doing music, or we're doing we say acro yoga with the kids, or we're doing something different every night, every morning, same routine, waking up. And that's something that if you, I don't know if you know the book from Robert Greene, Mastery.
Mastery. Okay.
He studied all the masters, all the modern masters, Da Vinci, and all these people. And one thing which is common is they all have this rigor and this organization in their day that allow the space for the creativity to be there. And when you organize your day like that, you really feel like you don't never feel like I don't have enough time. I force myself to never do a session that are more than 45 minutes because I get distracted anyway, you know, and
Hmm.
I fear that 45 minutes is the perfect time for me to focus on something and really be into it. And then I can move for something else, but allowing breaks as well, allowing like I like to go and walk outside, go talk to the staff, go connect with people. And that's give you a good break and a good reset of your brain. Taking the outside light is super important, like walking after your lunch, like all these little, I have all my little checkpoints that allow me to be extremely efficient when I need to, but also make me feel that I'm not spending my time just spinning and not doing what I should be doing.
I love the concept that you've outlined about applying rigor to the creative process, right? I mean, it's not always easy to sit down and produce a piece of music, a painting, write something good on demand. Sometimes you have to do it when you have the urge, but maybe over time, if you carve that time out, maybe it organizes your brain into a way where you use that time effectively. I mean, obviously it's working for you in your busy life. So in closing, Arno, I'd love to hear from you a prediction about where wellness and hospitality is going. You're doing some very cutting edge things there at your Four Seasons in Costa Rica. What do you think the next few years hold?
One thing I'm a true believer is going to be mainstream. It's going to be about learning about your oh, how can I put that? Let's give me a minute. Listen to your gut feeling
Hmm.
and make your decision based on what your body is telling you. We are in the world where everything is external. Everything is like all the excitement is coming from the outside. All of the distractions are coming from the outside. I think in our business, we work a lot into inner peace, you know, like doing meditation, doing sound healing, doing yoga, which is movement, but we still didn't listen what's going on inside. How many people can close their eyes and feel their heartbeats and being able to say, I'm going to slow down my heartbeat now because it's too high? Or even just wake up in the morning and it's not super funky, but smell your body and feel, oh, I can smell my body. Something is going on with me, you know?
Mm.
And I think like for me, it's like, and maybe it's very extreme with the smell, but there is something there that the guests are going to be able to assess their own health based on this inner listening, but also make decision. You know, a lot of people are not making decision because of what they think is right. They're making decision because they are told to do it. One concept I love is wellness should not be about addition. You should not be adding a facial, adding a massage idea. No, it's about subtraction. Subtract everything and meditate yourself. Because if you meditate, because you have to meditate on the top of your Pilates, on the top of it, you never meditate yourself. And that's something like this concept was shared by Colin Hall, who's a yoga teacher from Canada. And I love that. I think he's completely right. You don't go to the yoga class because you should go. You go because you need to go and you want to go for you, not for the other, not to compete, not to, for anything. And it's really like we're going inwards more and more. And I think that's what really I'm excited about is how can we teach our guests to more listen to their body and how they feel and see the cues, and also share the cues with the therapist and saying, hey, look, today, when I go to my dermatologist, I'm like, hey, look, here I have something I want you to check. Here I have something I want you to, I'm looking at my body. People don't look their body. They look at their clothes. They look at how the people look at them, but it's really like, okay, do you know what's going on? And nothing medical. It's really like, I can feel something is different, and we
Paying
have more and
attention.
more paying attention
Just
and
paying
looking at
attention
the
to yourself.
cues.
Well, this sounds easy, but I think what we all need is a little Arno in our life to be our guide because it seems to be firing on all cylinders for you with family and work and creativity, and yet leading a successful team of a business at the same time. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And anyone can do it. If I can do it, anyone can do it. It's not about me. It's about like just be aware, just be open and just do it. I'm sorry, I know that it's a very used sentence, but just do it. Just open your
It's
mind.
very true as well. Thank you again for joining us, Arnaud Dieutegard, Senior Director of Wellness Spa and Retail at Four Seasons Costa Rica. Keep up the creativity.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much for having me.